get through everything. I've been sick for a few days, so excuse my kind of awesome. Thank you. We will get started then with the official recording. Um,
Now it's
well,
really official, so watch
I'll
what you
start with
say.
this. Hi, my name is Jess Hofer. Yeah, it's official. I was on the US team in 2023 with my teammate Emily. She couldn't be here tonight because she had a work obligation. There were a couple people who messaged me saying they couldn't make it, so they aren't here. I'm hoping we have a good number of people to pop in. Again, this is our more formal version of that video from last week. That was just to kind of garner interest, to see what everyone wanted to hear, wanted to I guess be interested in about the US qualifier. And and really I wanted to know where everyone's head was at, since we haven't heard anything from BMW Motorrad USA yet. And like there's other countries already have their qualifiers scheduled, or if you're Japan, you might have already held your qualifier. So it's like we're just kind of like anticipating some news, and hopefully like we'll get a schedule sometime soon. So Matt is here. Matt McCourt, Life's Journey at 50, if you follow him on YouTube. He is here. He's hosting this Zoom for me. And we have some slides we'll get through, and then I'll give everyone a chance to chime in about what's important to you about the US qualifier. Open.
Where'd you get that from?
I stole it from BMW's little website.
Uh,
They had a
nice.
whole thing about it and some like good pictures. I didn't know that they had the actual pictures that won like first, second, and third place for the teams. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining. I know there are a lot of curiosities about what is happening with the US qualifier. Again, I don't know anything. I am just here to give us a platform so that we can all speak about our interest in the qualifier, be it as a competitor, a participant, a volunteer, someone interested in adventure riding, someone that's trophy curious. I think it's just really important that we get this out there, that there is interest and that there is excitement, and we want to see this happen. So, um, if you can go to the next
Uh,
slide for me. Talk about real quick. So that video from last week, if you didn't watch it, really it was just an informal get together, and there were a lot of opinions and people supporting that they really want to see this qualifier happen. And I think that's pretty important with the adventure riding community coming together. And I had this thought today that BMW has really been at the forefront of this adventure motorcycle riding from the beginning, and I think it would be kind of a shame not to lean into this part of the community. In the US. We have so much good writing here, and I think we have such good people who can be ambassadors of the sport. And the GS Trophy, the qualifier, is a big piece of that. Not to mention that if the performance center is involved, or we are at other dealerships and we have competitions that are leading up to the trophy, that there's a lot more involvement that we can really lean into and help BMW kind of encourage that organic growth in the community. And I think that's something that we honed in on a little bit on that in that video. Um, so I'd like to kind of move into I've had a cold, so I sound kind of weird. Um, and I really just want people to have this opportunity to say their piece. So I will have the introductions, everyone kind of introduce yourself, say what you want to say. I have some bullet points on that slide. Then we'll have an open forum kind of discussion, Q&A if anyone has any. Allow people to hop in that maybe are still at work or driving home. I've got my little helmet flare giveaway. We could do that. And then just a last little closing page to wrap up any notes. Like I just want to have some key takeaways that we can offer and go from here as a community. I think this is a really fun sport, and I'm just excited to be a part of it and glad that so many of you are here to share this. So we'll go to the next slide, please.
Grundläggend listen.
Woohoo. Okay. Introductions. Um, welcome everyone. You keep popping in here. So we've got 21 of us in here. I would like to start with we have Scott Acheson here, who was on the men's team and competed in Namibia. I would like to start with you, Scott, and I just have some bullet points here that you could go off of and introduce yourself, and we'll just go
Cool.
through the list. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm Scott Acheson. I was on the 24 trophy team. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. Um, so I'm gonna kind of go off script here a little bit, Jess. So my view or my attitude towards the trophy itself, it changed once I participated in it. And I've had this conversation with Matt and Jess and Tami. It truly is a world-class adventure ride put on by BMW. And the cost of entry is to be one of the better riders or at the qualifier to get to go on this trip. So yes, it's a marketing program. Yes, it's all the things that we're told, but above and beyond that, you get a really great experience riding adventure bikes sponsored by BMW. Um, I do have some different views now on the qualifier. I know what other teams went through to get qualified. There was a lot more media savvy with other teams. Other teams did their qualifier, like UK did it more like a day in the trophy where you rode X amount of miles and then it did a challenge, and then you rode X amount of miles, did a challenge, those kind of things. I don't know. I've had this conversation with Sean Thomas about how we could change this. I just don't know if it's feasible, given the size of the country, the United States, and trying to get everybody involved. So it's it's a really great opportunity for folks, and I hope they don't. BMW Motorrad USA doesn't decide not to participate in it. I'm not sure that was an English sentence, but I think it's just too good for this community. My plans for participation this year. Tami wrote me into being on the board of directors for the foundation. So we're trying to figure out how the foundation can support training and efforts for folks leading up to the qualifier, then once they're qualified. So I want to participate as much as I can to help other people prepare for it. I think anybody that tries out for it, I know most of the riders are really good riders. It's just really honing those skills and being ready for game day is what it boils down to. As far as constructive feedback, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily constructive. I just know that if I could script it, I would make it a bigger opportunity for folks. Um, I've had this conversation about how, why do certain countries win consistently? Why is South Africa up there? Why is Germany up there? Why is Japan up there? And I don't think it's necessarily the support, although it is. I think what it is they throw a much bigger net to get more people to try to qualify for the trophy. And then just by default, you get better riders or you get pushed to a new level. So, again, if you look at like Team UK, they have a lot of riders try out for it. Those guys never rode together before the trophy. None of them had ridden a 1300 before they went to Africa, and they came in fourth or fifth place. So I don't think it's necessarily all the things we think it is, spending time together, all those things. I think it's let's get this a bigger net so there's more people in this community that challenge us and push us. If the qualifier in 2023, if there would have been, 600 riders there, it might have been a different outcome. I don't know. That's my only constructive criticism. How do we make it bigger and more available to more riders? I'll sit in and answer any questions. I'm glad to be part of this. I think it's important. I think there's some opportunities to, if for some reason, and I'm not being negative, but if it goes sideways, then let's figure out another way to get this community together, a US centric kind of thing that is bigger, and we get everybody involved in it. We get all the trainers, all the people to push towards one one event a year or whatever it is. I think that could be really cool. A lot like what they do in Australia, where they do what do they call it, the GS Safari or whatever. So if you got questions, I'm here. I'd love to be here. Thanks, Jess, for inviting
Yeah,
me. Um, Hopefully I didn't stumble around too
thank you.
much. Sorry.
No, that was great. Thank you. And I think it kind of gets our gears turning a little bit. So, um, Charles, welcome. Good to see you.
Yeah, I just have a quick question. Do you think the size of our country and how far spread out we are is part of the reason? I mean, I lived in Germany. You can be anywhere in Germany in, 2.5 hours. Hop on the train, throw your bike on the back, and be at the main training center there. Do you think that how
Yes.
spread out we are and
Yeah.
just pure numbers is what is making people not want to try out?
I
That's
think it's,
fear.
yeah, I think it's, I mean, think about it. When 2023, we had one tryout, it was in South Carolina. So if it had been the other way, if that tryout had been in Seattle, I wouldn't have gone. Logistically, it wouldn't have made sense for me to do it. Now we had folks represented from that coast, but I think the size of our country, I think it does two things. The qualifier is challenging, and then you talk to me, Billy or Kirk, we were always like, why aren't we involved in this? Why aren't we involved in that? Well, BMW Motorrad's probably not going to pay for the three of us to fly to Las Vegas or fly to Seattle or New England or whatever to go do an event. To your point, Charles, if you're in Japan, you're in Germany, you're wherever, those guys can drive to the dealership. It's a 4 hour train ride or whatever. So I think there is some challenges with the size of the United States. I mean, I think minus China, I guess we were probably the biggest country that competed geographically.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and that's definitely a challenge that needs to be considered for the states, right? You know. But go ahead, Adam.
That's awesome. Uh, Scott, man, I'm so glad you're here. This is so cool to hear you speak about this stuff. I was just curious about the post you made a little while ago about being involved with the trophy and the specifically the bring home the trophy thing that you posted about. I don't know anything about that, and I'm just curious what that is and if that could help anything that's going on with as far as like what we're talking about here.
So the bring home the trophy. Again, I'll just go back real quick. When we qualified, I got with Tami, I got with Ted Moyer, I got with the Performance Center to try to offset, quite frankly, maybe selfishly, to offset some training costs through the MOA Foundation. Once it kind of grew a little bit, we've decided to try to grow this program where we can help get trophy. I'll be careful. I'll say it, trophy level riders trained up to get prepared for the qualifier, and then once the team is selected, then we can help support them with some training, with some expenses for training. It's not going to be tires or clutches or anything like that. It's going to be a hotel if the performance center sponsors a couple weeks or a couple trainings. We got very fortunate. I'll give a shout out to the performance center. The three trainings we got to do at the performance center, they comped it to the team. So if you kind of think about how much money that would cost up and down the street, you know that Aaron Rankin, that's a huge bonus for the team. We got to ride the 1300s, blah blah blah. But we're
Awesome.
right now kind of in a holding pattern on this bring home the trophy, depending on which way the if we go and we have a trophy team, then we're going to put the pedal down and try to figure out how to raise money and raise awareness to support the efforts. And quite frankly, Tami and I have talked about it. If it doesn't happen, we're going to shift gears, but we want to stay focused on the adventure riding community, and the folks that kind of want to push the limits of their adventure riding skills. That's to me, that's the direction we want to go with this. So
Thank you.
you bet.
That type of stuff on here. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Alan.
yeah, thanks. I'll jump in. So I'm Alan Collins. I'm located in California, and I've done two GS Trophy qualifiers on the West Coast in 2017, 2019. 2017 was the first time I think I only had a GS for maybe a year. It was probably the biggest bike I owned by like factor of two, but I have been riding since I was a kid. So just went out there and tried it. Absolutely loved it. Made some great friendships. Fell in love with it. Fell in love with this like kind of like the sport of GS Trophy qualifying. And second time went really, did much better. Didn't, make the final, but was just some of the best and most fun riding I'd ever done. And since then, we have a pretty tight-knit community here in San Jose. San Jose BMW is our home shop where if you know folks like Amy Hunter and Pete Hunter, very good close friends of mine. And over the last couple of years, we've all kind of formed a group and become obsessed with the idea of doing some more trophies. Amy's done two qualifiers now on East Coast. So we formed a little kind of team called the GS Trophy Hunters, and we've been training together, traveling together. We've done local training, we've done performance center. We just came back from Enduro Park Andalusia. We've done the NorCal BDR. We've been planning and talking about it, doing more training together. But quickly on to the questions about the size of our country. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like that makes such a big impact on wanting to compete. Like, so I skipped the last two that were on the East Coast because that was the only option. And despite all of the training and time I've spent now with my pals in the GS Trophy Hunters, I'm not sure, I haven't decided yet if the only qualifier is going to be on the East Coast. I'm not sure if I'll make it. If I make it, it may not be with my bike. I may fly out just to support friends. I'm not sure if I want to drag my bike cross country unless we do it on a trailer together. But if there's one on the West Coast, maybe even a little closer to the West Coast, I would definitely be there. And so that's a big thing for me is the distance. But otherwise, actually I especially loved the way the second qualifier went 2019. I think it was more organized than the 2017 one, and it was fun. And one other thing I would just ask is that I know the waiting time is tough on those long days. So I love the idea of doing more things, congruently. You've got adventure rides out exploring, GPS tracks and holding the multiple qualifier competitions at the same time so people can like finish one, go to the next one and move on. But anyway, otherwise awesome, and I'm having a great time, and I can't wait to do another one if I can make the logistics work.
Truly appreciate your input and glad you're here, Ellen. Thank you. It's nice to hear from the vets that have been through this. Jags, welcome.
That's right, Jessica. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. So I know most of them who are in this year qualifier would have seen me. Here based out of Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm the closest one to the GS Academy in Greenville, South Carolina. So I was supposed to be in the qualifier around 2023 because I broke my collarbone and I had an injury. I couldn't. But whoever competed in the qualifier, you would have seen me on the Spiral Mountain, which was the toughest competition. So we ran the volunteer for Spiral Mountain. And most of them I know I've ridden with as part of either March Moto Madness. I know Matt, every year I meet Matt, and I've last year rode with Ben a little bit on March Moto Madness. And definitely Tami MOA is always there. Last week we were just together in the BMW opening. So that's what it is. And this year for qualifier, definitely I want to have it in both East Coast and West Coast. But East Coast, since we are close by, we'll try to do it. And for the whole community, the other trainings other than the BMW Academy are very useful is Tom Asher's training, which I've done, and Brett Tax, Chris Burge. So I've trained with most of them, and then most of the local academies are also very helpful. I know Ben has a very good setup to do the training. So Ben's Academy is also pretty, welcoming for people to learn. Great job, Ben. I've been watching your recent videos, and a good job on the hill climbs. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. Thanks, Jesse, for giving me a chance to introduce myself.
Yeah, thank you. We're glad you're here. Perfect opportunity. Ben, welcome.
Thank you, Jessica. And I really appreciate you putting this together. I know a lot of people have been very interested in the trophy and wondering where we're at with things. So I'm going to try and stick with your format as best I can, but us Dragoos are known for rambling. So, stop me whenever you need to. But Yeah, so I'm based out of Norman, Oklahoma. My trophy experience, I started adventure riding in early 2019. My dad, however, the very first GS trophy in 2008, he was the first runner-up for that event. And then in 2010, he was one of the three selected to represent the U.S. in South Africa. He was on me to try this thing that he had been doing for years. I was working on my own business, starting a family, but he finally talked me into it, and I fell in love right away. And I am a competitive guy, and I really like the idea of competition. So I went in 21 to Rawhide in Southern California for the qualifiers, where I was fourth place, which probably really puts me, seventh or eighth overall, because that year there were two qualifiers. But I don't talk about that. I always say, yeah, I was fourth place in the West qualifiers. But really enjoyed that, and I was pleased with my performance based on a relatively short history of riding. Really was interested for about the next year in being preparing myself to do the next qualifiers. I figured, Dad was first runner up, first time he ever did it, and I was fourth place in the West qualifiers. So, I'll make it the second time. And then I was told that they're not allowing instructors to participate. So at that point, I decided if I couldn't be Rocky, I would be Mickey, and really worked hard to enable some other folks to compete. And I'm very pleased that two of the gals that I worked with, Stephanie and Sherri, made it to the finals at the qualifiers at 23. So my participation plans this year are basically just to continue that. I understand that I'm not eligible, which makes it really easy, because then I don't have to compete against folks like all of you here. There are some really good riders there, and it's really easy to sit back and go, oh no, they counted me out. I just ineligible. But I am very, very interested in helping out the next group of competitors, whether it's in the GS trophy or any other competition arena. Frankly, I feel like that's one of the things that slightly hamstrings the US, is that the GS trophy is the only real established consistent competition, and it's every other year. So I actually have been working to develop, and we were about to go live with it just before the Motul ADV competition was announced. We're kind of taking a step back, seeing how that works. But that's my goal, is to participate in as many general ADV competitions as possible, up to and including the GS trophy, and then help out as much as I can, because ultimately I want the US to be competitive. It's been a challenge whenever we get up there against the rest of the country, for so many of the reasons that you guys have talked about: location, how spread out we are, opportunities to train. But I really do feel like opportunities to train competitively is one of the places that we can step things up. Sorry about the neighbor's dog. But that's kind of my goal, is to try and give folks more opportunities to train competition specific skills. Chuck, I see you laughing there because this dog. Sorry guys. I am putting on, shameless plug, I am putting on a class June 13th through 15th at Grit in Park City, Utah. That is a competition specific class, but I'm also attending a lot of the different rallies, whether it's March Moto Madness, MOA, Whalen Lane, that kind of stuff. And I really want to be an asset to whoever those competitors are, whoever is wanting to actually be competitive in the trophy. So that's my goal for this year, is to help out in whatever way I can. Yeah, definitely. I'd love for you to take my class, but even if you aren't and you are asking pertinent questions, hey, Ben, that counterbalance turn looked really good. How do you do that? I would love to be able to help in any way possible. And now I'll stop talking.
Well, thanks, Ben. Shameless plug is fine. I mean, it's all in the good name of BMW GS Trophy and what we can do for people in this adventure riding community. And it's important we have, and that's an interesting point. The coaches aren't allowed, and that was an international rule, and that's something I didn't know. And Scott had talked about it. That it would be cool to see the coaches, in my opinion, be able to actually compete because these are our down and dirty, the adventure riders that are out doing it and teaching people and let them compete amongst their people. I think it could be fun. We all have good days, we all have bad days, but that's just my opinion. Um, is there anyone else that would like to go next before I start calling people out?
I'm a little short on time.
Sherri,
So I could
yeah,
go.
please. Welcome
After
again.
I figured out my technology issues.
Yeah, thank you.
I think
Good
it's
to
the
see
first time I've
everyone.
ever seen Sherri without a helmet and a motorcycle.
I'm
Cleans up nice, doesn't she?
unrecognizable, aren't I? Well, thanks for pulling this together. I'm Sherri Burrell. I'm in Parker, Colorado, part of the Colorado contingent of the last qualifier. And I think that the qualifier at the Performance Center was put together very well. I think it was run very well. I do think it would be helpful just hearing different individuals across the country. It's a long drive. It was a 2-day drive to get over there, and we stopped halfway and trained with Ben on our way over. So that was a great experience for us. But if there were the opportunity to have 2 qualifiers, maybe East Coast, West Coast, I think that more individuals would probably definitely throw in to compete. But overall, I think that this community that we have built and by participating in this event is just amazing. And the skills that we gain are not only fantastic for this experience, but of course for just continuing our journey with adventure riding. So, not hearing being a little bit quiet this year and wondering if we're going to have the opportunity to compete again, it's a little bit stressful because for myself, it was a amazing experience. I want to do it again, and I just have committed pretty much everything that I can to actually be a competitor in this event. From investing in the training, putting the time in, Kandi's on here, Ben's on here. They have all been a part of my training journey. Jocelyn Snow. I mean, I've just done so much training, and every time I do a training, I think about how am I going to apply it to my next competition to go to the qualifier, and I want to do well again. I even invested in a different bike this winter to compete in the trophy. I was on a low suspension bike, have done fantastic on it, but as it turns out, I am tall. People keep telling me I'm tall. And the bikes that you actually compete on, if you go the distance, are going to be standard height bikes. So I sold my low suspension bike, and I'm now riding a standard height bike, and I'm already training for the next qualifier. So I think that, there are a lot of us out here that are committed to do it and would love to hear back from, BMW and, what is it that you're looking for from us? We definitely are out here promoting the brand. We're promoting community, the GS spirit, and, what do you need from us to make it worthwhile for you as an organization would be one of my questions. As far as necessarily constructive feedback, if there were a few things that I would like, to be maybe different at the qualifier. Of course, on the East Coast, I'm from Georgia. I have a lot of family there. I would have loved to have, them been able to come and maybe even watch some of it. I know that we could have some folks watching, at the semi and of course at the final, but it's a big commitment to ask your family to drive even a couple of hours or many hours and wonder if they're going to get to see you ride at all. So I think that, having some of the different segments that are viewable, by an audience would be really nice. I understand the, keeping it confidential and all of those things, but I also think that it also promotes, a marketing aspect of it too, welcoming in others that are interested in seeing this and participating and seeing their family members participate in this event. So yeah, that's kind of my summary of what I'd like to see.
Thank you, Sherri. Really appreciate your time. Anyone else short on time that would like to go, you are more than welcome to tell us about yourself. Buchanan.
So I don't know if everyone knows, but I used to be a retired Army, used to be a government contractor. Now I am the GM of Morton's BMW and co-owner. I don't know if everybody knew the co-owner part, but the documents are written. So on Sunday, I fly out to meet with corporate BMW for our dealership meeting. Aaron and everybody from the schoolhouse will be there. And I am definitely going to ask, what's the deal with the new GS? Are we going to have a trophy? When is it? And I have to watch how I do it because now it's a little more than just I want to compete in the GS trophy. But I will, we fly out Sunday, have a meet and greet on Sunday afternoon. And that's one of the number one conversations I want to have with everybody from corporate BMW. So as if I can maybe get some lowdown, depending on what I can tell everybody, I will most definitely put it out to everyone in the, not just the group, but kind of the wave of individuals that want to do this. I think a wave is a good word for what we're trying to do. Um, it sells bikes. I understand where BMWs come from, but it also costs a lot of money. Um, but I think it's a good cultural event for everyone that's never been out of the country to go see somewhere. I'm sure Scott can attest to that from his trip to Namibia. I personally don't like Africa. There's too much sand, but um, I will ask and then try to put it out. And if you want sand, go to Ben's got some sand day thing that they do on the river, and then they hang from a bridge or something. I don't know, but I'll try to get as much information as I can. Chuck's kind of laughing. I half of the academy is going to be out, and unfortunately, I have to fly to Palm Springs, is where the dealership meeting is, and then we have 4 hours of riding. So,
Well, congratulations on your co-ownership of Morton's. That's really awesome. We're happy for you.
I'm really hoping I can get you guys the information. I think that's the most important thing for me is to figure out what the hell's going on with the GS trophy.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and just there's a good group of people that want to represent this competition and be a part of it and be integrated and on our own little level of being ambassadors for this sport. And like you said, that culture is a very important aspect. So thank you.
Right.
Yep. Would anyone else like to go, or should I start calling out names?
Well, I'll jump in actually.
Hi, Kandi. Thank you.
Hi there. I'm trying to decide where to start. I'm going to give, I think a lot of people already know kind of the background, but I want to touch on a couple of things with the GS trophy. Ben touched on like the first ones with his dad and whatnot. The first women's qualifier was in South Africa in 2015. That was when women were introduced to the sport. 2017, there were actually 3 qualifiers. Just for those of you that don't know, There was one in Rawhide, there was one at the Performance Center, and then the other one was in, then was it Missouri? I think it was. Yeah. And they
Hardest one,
tried to
apparently,
say again.
which was like super gnarly compared to the East and West.
Yeah, there was no, and that was the thing
No
that I was
continuity.
gonna, yeah, there was no continuity, there was no standard, right? And then in 2019, which was my first qualifier, there was one on the West Coast and one on the East Coast. They cut out the middle because obviously there's an expense to BMW Motorrad North America. The other thing that I will note for those of you that may or may not know, the GS trophy itself is funded by BMW Motorrad, the mothership. The BMW qualifiers are funded by the country that's hosting the qualifier. So when we talk about, hey, I hope there's a GS trophy, right? We're talking about two different aspects. One is we got to make sure that we're getting the actual GS trophy. That is a commitment by Germany. And we have usually in years past, because I've been a freaking groupie, probably maybe not quite as long as Ben has, but I've been a groupie for a long time. They usually announce the BMW GS trophy in January of the year prior to the trophy, because it's the qualifier years, which are odd years, and then you've got the actual trophy, which are even years. So the reason this is so concerning is we have not heard from BMW Germany announcing the actual trophy itself. So we're delayed there. There's new leadership, there's lots of speculation, whatnot. I've looked at the one that they have announced in the UK, and they're very careful on their wording. Like, it's kind of interesting when you go and research some of these things. So yes, there has been a couple of qualifiers that have been announced, but I don't think that means anything at this point. So step one, I think for us, if the goal of this meeting is to go, what can we do? I think you need to blow up BMW Motorrad, the mothership, social media with, hey, we want this. Hey, we love this. Hey, like, put it out to your groups, GS Giants, GS Girls. Like, we need an initiative to go, this is important to a lot of people. Once we have that commitment, then I think we have the BMW North America contingent that we need to motivate to get these qualifiers booked as soon as possible. This is the qualifier year. Now, to that end, and Charles, I'm glad you brought this up because I've got Tara, who's with BMW of Denver, who's going to the same event. She leaves on Sunday as well. We need to reach out to our dealers, our local dealers who are all going to this event. And they're all going to be in the same shoes as Charles. Now, Tara's a little saltier than most, and that's why I love her. She is not afraid to say anything to anybody. She has already brought this up with Mark Boucher, and the response from Mark to her, and I did talk to her this morning, she was okay with me sharing this with you. Mark responded, hey, we have a dealer meeting in 10 days. This was last week. And we'll connect with you and the community after that event. So there are plans to say something, but it's very ambiguous at this point.
Can you have her look me up while I'm there?
Yes.
I would say I'm the bald guy with the beard, but hell, probably 50% of us will.
I will absolutely do that. And I would encourage you and anybody else on this call, reach out to your local dealer and say, hey, I understand you're probably going to this event. Please bring this up. This is important to us. This is why I've bought, between my husband and I, 7 GSs in the last, 5 years. It's ridiculous. Like, this is a marketing event.
I want your new one.
If they, I love my new one. If they end up doing something different, right? Or changing this or eliminating this. I don't think they're going to feel the effects of how much this actually affects their sales for probably, 5 years or so. Ben and I have talked about like this is something that they have built over time. They need to do a way better job of marketing and allowing spectators and getting people excited. They've made tremendous strides in trying to standardize it across all the countries. So there are things that they're doing well, but there's still things that they're doing so bad. They spend so much money on this event, and it's such a world-class event. And yet it's so hard to get information on what's going on and seeing it, live, have a live broadcast. You know how many people would probably tune into that? So those are some of my initial thoughts. When they had the three qualifiers, unfortunately, I don't think that Ben, do you remember there was probably like 35 at each at that time? And
So
when they
that
went down to one, it was really hard.
that was before my time, and
Okay.
but my understanding is that there were 50 to 60 at each of those three, because that's where a lot of our staff, that was kind of their
Okay.
last hurrah, was that 2015. Was it 15 or 17 that they had the three?
That was in 17 because that was the
Okay.
year before I competed.
And that was, a year and a half before I wrote a GS. But I've talked to a lot of those guys, and my understanding was that competitors could compete at any of those. So there were people that would invest in going to California, going to, every single event, and, giving themselves the best option. Tom Thompson, he said, he went to the first one and, felt like it was a gimme. He basically said, I wasn't worried about it because I knew I had a couple other chances. And Tom, kill me if I'm getting this wrong, but it worked out for him. And because he didn't have that pressure, he was able to, make the team. But my understanding, is that there were 50 to 60 at each one of those. So call that on the bottom end 150 competitors. Whenever I competed in 21, there were around 60 out at Rawhide, and I believe that it was closer to 50 at the PC that year, based on what I've heard. So, okay, we're 120, 130. In 23, it was like 65, 67. So the numbers are dropping, but they are dropping the regions. I do think that the
that's having a big effect. Yeah, that they're not doing both.
Yeah, it feels like it's becoming less of an event and more like an obligation. And it shouldn't be that from Motorrad.
Yeah.
It should be mutually beneficial.
The last point that I'll make too is this event was initially designed for the amateur rider, right? This was not meant for pros to come in. This was meant for everyday riders to come in that had a BMW. You had to own one. The other problem that I had with one qualifier on the other side of the country was that you weren't allowed to rent one, which I'm just like, can you make this any more difficult on participants? Like, come on.
A lot more miles than most.
Right. But the amateur versus pro, and then they excluded, the instructors. But, in other countries, especially on the female side, it was up to the country who they allowed to participate. Pros were allowed. And so then in some cases, certainly on the women's side, they got slaughtered. It was difficult to win at the international qualifier. I'm sure Jess can speak to that. But I had that as well when I went to Spain in 2019. So anyways, I wanted to paint a little bit of a background so you guys kind of knew, kind of the background of the trophy. But issue number one is we got to blow up Germany, the mothership, to say, hey, please have another trophy. This means so much. And then we need to concurrently make sure that our dealers are going to represent their buyers, their clients at this upcoming meeting starting on Monday. And then really rallying around getting two qualifiers, at least.
Yeah, thank you. I mean that really helps clarify things and get some direction for us. Like it's nice to have some like leaders at the helm who like understand where we've been and can see like where we want to go. And I think it's nice to have that kind of guidance. So thank you. It's really great to see you. Looks like you made it in.
I did make it in. Hello.
Hi.
I've been listening just sort of in the background. I am short on time, but I did want to say thank you for setting this up. Like everybody else, sort of just wondering what's going on. So my name's, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Chris Briggs. I'm one of the owners of The Farm, Fearless Adventure Riding Maniacs. 4 women who 3 of us went to the trophy, and then of course Jess trained out at the farm with us. We went to the qualifiers 23 and decided to expand our business, or started our business, in fact, because of this GS trophy. Our goal was to actually get women involved in riding these machines. And I mean, this is a marketing event. What a great way to do it, by putting on a competition and ride big machines. Why not? Like Sherri, we have also upgraded our bikes. In fact, myself and Stephanie just bought we bought 1300s in preparation for the next trophy qualifier. Well, we're still going to ride those 1300s, whether a trophy qualifier happens or not. But it's just sort of speaks to the marketing of this. They want us to buy GSs, they want us to ride BMWs. Well, we're doing that. So what can we do in return? Can you put on like a little competition so we can become better riders, and show off what we have, show off our skills, but show off these machines? My impression of the US qualifier, I enjoyed it. What the best part of it was just the camaraderie, having seen a lot of women over the course of a few months and then actually turn up to compete. That was amazing, and it's a unifying experience. The goal when I left that qualifier was to have probably add an extra 5 women, 5 to 8 women to the US qualifying team next time. I've kind of put that on the back burner because I don't want to do all the work of trying to get people involved in this and get them excited about going to compete in a trophy that may or may not happen. However, I still stand by. I want to get people, women particularly, into this sport. Participation plans for this year? Yeah, I'm in. That's all I've got to say on that one. Constructive feedback. I think what would be really great, echoed a couple of times here, is if there was a qualifier in more than just one place on East and West Coast. Sure. I am a US citizen, but if the qualifier doesn't happen in the US and it happens in Australia, guess who's going back to Australia? You're going to lose me. Anyway, that's all I got. I am short on time. I'm just going blah, 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 but that.
Well, thank you. And to Chris's credit, I mean, she dragged me into the qualifier. I didn't know what it was, and it ended up being a pretty cool thing. I also met Rich Jones through it, so I mean, it's kind of a love story. But anyway, any other women want to speak up on that? Oh God, Tammy, I know you're like itching to go. If
You're
you
on
unmute,
mute.
yeah,
You
there
gotta
you go. You got.
unmute.
I thought I hit the button. Okay, so I'm also the judge that slid down a hill onto my rear end during the last qualifier. So I have not competed yet. I am here because of you guys, because I saw so many of you competing during the 2023 event. And I was standing there practically shaking the whole time, going, why am I not out there? Why am I not out there? I want this experience. I was participating in the meals. I was talking to y'all. I was, I was observing. I was cheering as much as I was not allowed to, and just really taking it in. And I just want to say I was very, very inspired. And this is what I think the trophy really is about. It's about inspiring people. It's about showing us that we can do things that are extraordinary. I watched, we're all pretty normal people. I mean, um, I watched normal people do extraordinary things, and it inspired me. So um, I think that this is an important event. I am certainly hoping that it will happen. I want it to happen. I want to be able to participate this time as a competitor. I am not a threat. But
Yes, you are.
um, but I have, I have been inspired to go and take training and to and to, test my limits and to develop my skills. And I want to be able to say that I did my best, that I learned things about myself, that that I competed, and so that's my why. Um, I do have a concern, I guess, that, and I don't know where I heard this, and so it's total rumor, but I've also heard people say, well, what if they hold the GS trophy, but they don't include the United States? Is that anything that anybody else has no, okay. So okay, good. Because I think what was kind of whispered to me was, well, you know, we have somebody new for North America, and maybe they will just say, you know what, you all go do your GS trophy, but don't include us. And I'm glad to see Kandi do this, because you know, I I hope
I,
and trust that.
it's not impossible, but I haven't heard it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, same, Tammy. I think there's just what were our placements and how much effort is put into um the team, and it's fair to say that might have been mentioned. I don't think I've heard that, but it's like, what does it say about where we've placed? And where does BMW Motorrad USA want to put their marbles, so to
You
speak?
know,
But
that brings up another thing that I wanted to mention, Jess. This came from Tara as well. This did not come directly from Louise, but Tara did talk to Louise, and she mentioned that there was going to be something, the trophy. So I have heard that, but it's so vague that it's still suspicious to me, that I'm like, why hasn't it been announced? Is it going to be different than what it's been in years past? So there's going to be something, because Louise and Sean are definitely like in the know. I'm also very, very careful. I never want to put them in a position, because they're such good friends. I don't want to ever ask them something that would make them uncomfortable. So I tend to not ask those questions. So that was from Tara.
I will ask, because they're both going to be here at the end of the month. And I have offered to take them sightseeing in Alaska. And I'm going to ask them.
Ask them point blank. Good, do
say,
it.
Hey, I had a fabulous time being a judge at the trophy qualifier. I really want to do it again. What's going to happen? And see what they say.
And that I think they're going to be in Alaska in 2 weeks after this
Yeah.
whole meeting thing.
Yeah, they're going to be here on the 29th.
Yeah, so maybe there will be some news by then. Karen, would you like to go since you're here?
Sure. I'm the exact opposite feeling as Tami. Tami was like, why am I not doing this? Why am I not doing this? And I was sitting there on the Australian Terror or whatever that event was that I had to judge, thanking everybody that I was not a competitor. It was my first exposure to it, was so not prepared to. I thought I was gonna like give people water bottles, really. That's what I was expecting my contribution to be. And I was blown away by the friendship and the camaraderie and the extreme fun that was being had, even in moments where there were consequences for bikes going down. It was a pretty amazing event, and I really hope that they have it again.
Karen, you were on the Australian Terror.
That was me.
That was the first element that I had, like cold, hey, start your GS trophy weekend with the Australian Terror.
I am
Getting
so
the hard one
sorry.
out, getting the hard one done first, Ben.
It did rip the Band-Aid off for sure.
That was an interesting one. Yeah.
Ben, that you got it before it was all chewed up and wet from rain. I think you had it best.
I'm the one that chewed it up. Yeah, you're welcome.
Actually, on day 2, I actually did try to call an audible. I made them get Mackenzie out and run it to prove to me that it could be done.
Oh, that was you. She talked about that in our training. That's funny.
Do you know how
Yeah,
much
that's
hate
fun
mail
for
she
sure.
got?
What was that?
She got so much hate mail for that element.
She knows. She laughed about it. She's like, that one might have been a little too much, but you know.
I thought it was great, and I had no idea what I was doing, but I thought that was awesome.
They tried to kill us.
I was so proud of myself when I got through that, even though I know I was probably negative points, but I didn't care. I was so excited that I fought my way through that as a first-time trophy qualifier person. I was so proud when I got through the end of that. So I don't know why she got hate mail. I thought it was fabulous.
I got some great views out of it on the YouTube channel. It was awesome.
I actually held my bike up and tried to move rocks underneath my bike.
I have that on video. I have that.
If you have it on video, send it to me, Matt.
I do.
All right, Melissa, you're up.
All right. I was taking notes, trying not to repeat what everybody has already said because the comments have been fabulous. Melissa Ragsdale, Knoxville, Tennessee. I was thinking back in the conversation. I bought my first GS, which was a 750 in 2020, early 2020. And spent the next year and a half, 2 years, no off-road, just getting used to riding a bigger bike from the sport bikes that I had come from. In September of 2022, I took my first ever 2-day off-road class at the PC. Had never taken an off-road class before. They, within an hour, got me on a 1200 GS or 1250 GS, right? That January, I took it again, brought 7 of my friends back with me, and made the decision that January that I was going to try out for the qualifier, that I was going to go. So I needed to chuck the 750 GS and go find a big GS, because if I'm going to compete, I need to be training on the bike that I'm potentially going to be competing on. So found a 1200 GS in March, and think I finally, you guys are going to laugh, I think I finally mastered a 16-foot full lock circle June-ish, late June. Like, it took a while for my brain to figure all this out in my little field. And if you are connected with me at all on Instagram, you would have seen lots of cones and lots of frustrated falls and just stupidity. Anyway, I had a freaking blast. There is no better way for me to describe that. I found my people. I found a tribe. I met so many people that I immediately connected with, and they have the similar personalities and similar traits, and things that scare them, they don't run from them, they run to them. It's like, oh, let's go do that. Even though it scares me to death, I want to do that. The qualifier for me was very much about a personal success. It was an opportunity for me to have a goal that I'm going to show up and I'm going to compete and I'm going to see how I do because I had zero idea what I was stepping into. The only information I had was old videos out online. I flew to Texas and took a class with Kandi. I drove up to Virginia and took a class with Ben Fopp. Still couldn't do 16-foot circles at either one of those trainings, just an FYI. Um, I had an incredible experience. And maybe it was because it was my first time. But I was just truly, and maybe it was because of all the awesome ladies that I met, right? That certainly was a highlight of my experience. I would have loved for there to have been more qualifying events across the country because I learned throughout the event and after that there were a lot of really great riders that didn't participate because of money and distance and things like that. I would have loved to have had friends and family who were going on this journey with me to be able to participate, to be able to show up and watch and cheer and bring me waters and check on me and just, be that support system. As it is, the folks that did come and they came from 3 different states, they came from the semis, which I didn't even make, but I was okay with that. They were there. And I was so excited that they were there and I could share it with them. Um, for me, I think that if we have another trophy, I am in, 100% in. There's no doubt about that. I'm definitely going to do it again. I think BMW is missing out on a huge marketing opportunity. And I know Kandi highlighted this earlier, but there is so much social media out there now. And, I post rides. I just posted an experience this past weekend when I was in the woods and I should have had a saw with me. Um, there's a huge opportunity there for riders that are learning, that are communicating to other riders, that are influencing other riders. That are building the brand and building the community. And I feel like BMW is not capitalizing on that. We're here. We love the bikes. We love the brand. We love the competition. We're pushing for this. And I'm not sure that they're listening. And I think they're missing a huge opportunity here. So I really hope that they continue with the competition because I would like to be there. And I can tell you, I have probably spent a good portion of the last 2 years, every female that I meet, how you doing? What's your name? How you like your ride? How long you been riding? What do you like to do on that bike? What other bikes do you have, right? It's an opportunity to have a discussion to try to bring people into the adventure riding fold and oftentimes to help them figure out that they can do so much more than what they're already doing. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Melissa. Well said. And it was a pleasure to meet you back in the day, a year and a half
Right?
ago. I mean, it's crazy what this competition like just brings people together like that. So thank you. Well said. Anyone else would like to volunteer to speak?
Good morning, everyone. My
Hi,
name is
Mark.
Mark
Thank you.
Henderson. I live in Northern Virginia in Ashburn, close to the nation's capital. Long-time biker, and I've been involved with adventure bikes about 10 years. And here in Virginia, I have a club, so to speak, and we try to engage the community. And I am not a trophy competitor, but I am a judge, and I also judge other various motorcycle competitions, so it's an important thing to me. Um, but in particularly, the past few years, I've tried to provide training spaces where potential competitors or people who just want to try for themselves to see if they can do some GS trophy quality type obstacles. Um, Charles has been over to our facility, and we've actually added a little bit since he's been there. And I just wanted to quickly say, if you know anyone that needs a place to go and you're near the nation's capital area, look me up. We've got a spot for you to practice.
That's cool. I mean, I still am learning about so many groups and people around the nation um, that are just involved in adventure riding. I didn't know you existed. I'm sorry. Like that's amazing. And you've been doing this for 10 years. Like that's cool.
Yeah, the club started about 10 years ago with just a couple people, and we have about 900 members and about 200 people who actively participate in group rides and clinics.
Yeah. I love that. Cool. Thank you so much for sharing. Matt, do
Thank
you
you.
want to go? You're next on my screen.
Jeez. Yeah, I'll hop in here. Most of you probably know me. I think I've met most of you, Matt McCourt. And actually, this week, 4 years ago, is when I bought my first bike, a GSA. So, I met Zeke and Ben at Wayland Wayne almost 4 years ago and took my first kind of off-road class or whatever. So, Ben, I contribute some of this to you. But yeah, I got into this thing and I've been very fortunate to live in Ohio with Tom Asher and Matt Kelly, 2016, 2018 team members. I've ridden a lot with them. I've been obviously worked a lot with Tom, trying to get my skill sets. I've been out to see Bill and Ben as well. It has really hooked me in the 4 years that I've done this to the point where, Charles, I bought the last of the 23 GSs because I didn't want to ride the GSA off road anymore. So, I didn't want to do the 1300. So, but yeah, so I've got into this thing and I was luckily enough to be a scorekeeper at the last event with Tammy. Tammy, I think I still have video of you falling maybe somewhere. But at the end of the day, what got me going was just, again, it's a lot what you people said. It's the camaraderie. It's you kind of, like Melissa said, you kind of found your crew that you hang out with, and I really enjoy this. I don't do it so well sometimes, and unfortunately, I document a lot of it and share it with the world. But I enjoy this and love every minute of it, and I want to participate. And one of the main reasons, and Tammy and I talked about this at the last one, was I saw some folks that just got to some of the stages and just didn't do them. Like, they would pull up and go, I'm not doing that. And it frustrated me as a spectator slash judge on a thing to see that, because I was like, wow, I wish I had the opportunity, or I wish I would have actually done that. Because regardless of how bad I would have done it, I would have tried at this. And my goal really is to do it this coming year if we have it. And if my goal is really to make the quarterfinals. If I could do that, I think I would be saying a lot in the 4 years that I've been riding. So yeah, I'm very fortunate to be able to spend a lot of time with a lot of folks that have done this and be able, to put the work and effort into it. Got a long way to go. Still a lot to learn, but this has been a fantastic trip so far for me in these 4 years.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt.
Yep.
Yeah, there's always stuff to learn for sure, and then perishable skills, right? But
Yep.
it's been fun watching your journey, so appreciate your time. Anyone else? I know we've been on this call for over an hour, so anyone want to speak? Or
Oh, can I show up? You see me?
yeah, Cassie, hi.
Hey. Sorry we're a little late. We're on the road. Chris and I are here.
Hey,
guys. So I'm Cassie Meyer. I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I was introduced to the GS Trophy, I'd say it was probably right around 2016. That's when I kind of got involved with BMW Motorrad. 2018, I was working at the BMW US Rider Academy, and they were setting up, was it 18? Maybe it was 19. I can't remember which year, but they were setting up the GS Trophy prep course that they do. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is super awesome. And I love slow speed technical riding. I'm not a fast rider when it comes to going out on the trails. I usually get left in the dust. But if you are like, hey, do this and then do this and then I'm like, yeah, I'm in for it. Um, same thing. I really hope that BMW kind of gets it together and that they are going to continue with the trophy because obviously we've joined in a little late, but just echoing the last couple of people, it's definitely the camaraderie is amazing. And I think the big bike riding is super cool because like my joke is that we're the idiots that ride them, but I think that's what's so neat about it, right? Is that uh, it's a little bit like if you do track racing, right? If you do vintage motorcycle racing, like why the hell would you ride a vintage motorcycle when you ride a new motorcycle? I think it's kind of the same thing for ADV, right? It's like, well, why would you ride a 550-pound motorcycle off-road when you could go get a 250? And it's like, because it's fun, right? Yeah, because we can. So I was a competitor in, what year was that? 22?
20.
In 20. So I was a competitor.
2021.
Was it 21? Thanks. Yeah. Thanks, Kandi. I'm horrible with dates. So I sorely misjudged that competition and like what that competition was going to be like. I was riding a ton. I was doing a bunch of BDRs. I was just out riding. That is not what the GS trophy is like. So for those of you who have done the qualifier, you absolutely know what I'm talking about. It was physically demanding, emotionally demanding, mentally demanding. So for those of you that are like wanting to do it, getting out and doing a bunch of BDRs is awesome, but it's not the way to do it. So get some training. Obviously, I can't compete anymore because I am a coach. So wasn't able to compete this last qualifier. So I was out there as a judge. And I really want to see more people involved in the competition and in the sport as a whole. I really think that style of riding overall does make you a better rider, right? When then you get out on the trail and you're like, I've done this, right? Like, sure, you're not going to find a pile of tires and ride over them in the wild. You're going to go around them. Let's be honest, right? But there's like some really nice core skills involved in that. So I'm going to pass this over. I'm going to hold it. Chris is driving, but I'm going to let him do his piece.
Hey guys, how you doing?
My buddy Chris. Yo.
Hey. So, hey Matt, by the way, I'm really glad you're involved. So glad to see your face again after a few months. Anyway, I'm Chris Bromsworth, I'm the general manager for Sandia BMW Motorcycles, and I competed in the with Jess and Rich and a few others of you on the call. And man, it was to re-echo what everybody said, the camaraderie and the team aspect of the community that's built out of the GS trophy is just amazing. And from my I've also worked for BMW Motorrad and been in the industry for quite a while and understand that they do promote it, they do focus on it, but they don't do it enough, and it's obvious. And they don't do, wish they would promote it more. The whole idea of upcoming to the GS trophy and the passion that we have for for example, just putting on this this Zoom call, and that so many people are interested in doing it and want to go after it, and it's an amazing opportunity to test your skills and be a better rider. And but yeah, and when it comes down to, lucky enough, I know a little bit of the inside on when it comes down to having more qualifiers throughout the country. It mainly comes down to cost and organization, and it's not easy. And what was it? 6 years ago, they had this is back when Tom Thompson.
There were 3, yeah.
Tom Thompson in 2018 GS Trophy. So it would be in 2017. They had 3, and one on each coast, one in the central. And in all honesty, it was a shit show. It was an organizational mess on the training, on the judging, on all that, the courses. And so BMW has to depend on a school or a location to be able to run it and handle it to their specifications, which is really tough. And so I've heard numerous stories, numerous things about what happened in the Missouri location and at Rawhide, And so a lot of people complained about it. A lot of competitors felt they were shorted. So it's a difficult one. We all want that. But just keep in mind that it's a huge feat for them to be able to put on those qualifiers. And I was actually, pretty excited when they only had foreman. Some we competed, it just kept it clean. It was one course, and the competitors could be chosen at the end. But to your point, yes, it's all the way across the country. That's a 2.5-day drive for us to get there, and it's a huge time commitment for work and costs and everything else. So there's a whole balance of the whole thing, but we'll see. Hopefully I get some more information of what they're going to do. Obviously, they haven't announced when. I was tasked. I'm going to BMW meetings this weekend, and I was tasked to ask our new VP Kevin Phillips what the new qualifier is. So hopefully I can get some inside information this weekend. For the people from the Forum Center, the thing is they don't know either. They'll know literally when we know. So it's pretty funny how it all happens. But there's so many people in the background trying to put all this stuff on, and so it's big. We'll see. But anyway, I hope to be there this next qualifier, and really excited to see the rest of you there. It's just an amazing opportunity to come and test your skills and build that camaraderie community. I have some really close friends out of it. I'll still keep in touch with, and it's just a great situation. And Jess, thanks again for putting this Zoom call on, and I think we should do more of it, and also more of it with some of the new competitors coming on, so they can ask questions and be comfortable, and training to do. And if anybody's in the Southwest, Cassie built a training course behind my dealership just a couple weeks ago. We're going to be constantly adding to it as much as my company will allow, if you will. So if you're down here and want some training, come training with Cassie and I, and use the course in the back area. There's plenty of space. We're here for you. Any questions you have or whatever.
Cool. Cassie and Chris, thank you so much. I think it's cool that you have that course, and more dealerships should get in on that.
And nice video with Sean.
Yeah. You guys got matching beards now.
Jess, can I just say something?
Please.
I have been following the GS Trophy since 2016. I drank the Kool-Aid in 2014. Sean was my first off-road coach. I love the GS Trophy, and I will never compete in it. I'm having back surgery in a couple weeks, but I hope to be there to volunteer as long as I can. It is inspirational, and I cannot tell you how many people I personally have talked into buying BMWs because of my experiences at the trophy. That's all I have to say.
Well, we wish you happy healing and good luck with your surgery. Thank you. That was a beautiful statement. Did I just see Billy hop in here? I'm trying to slide in. You want to say anything, Billy? Hi.
Don't listen to Billy. Do not.
No.
I'll have to translate his South African accent for the rest of the people here.
Oh, you're gonna hang out just to translate?
Yeah, I'm gonna hang out. I got to hear what he has to say. It's gonna be amazing.
Hey Scott, the only thing we can see is your belly button.
That's because I haven't been doing anything since I got back from Africa.
No, I'm just listening, everybody. Thank you.
Fair enough. Well, if you have anything to say, pop in. We're just going through everyone, and we've gotten a lot of inspiring little chats and some good opinions here. So I'm hearing a lot of support for wanting to continue this really tradition. It becomes a reunion for people. It's a cool community. Just hearing that over and over, it's really a special thing. I haven't heard from Dean yet, but you've been here this whole time. Would you like to say anything?
Hey guys, Dean Dawson. I'm from right outside of Charlotte, so about an hour and a half from the Performance Center. I've ridden in the last two trophy qualifiers. The 2021, I showed up having no idea what I was getting into, and had just come off of COVID, and it showed, but it was incredible. Met a lot of people. Came back in 2023 and did much better. I find that knowing that it's there and the qualifiers are coming up and the trophies there, it makes me practice more than just ride. I'm fortunate to have some access to some property where I can go out and I can do turns and cones and hills and slow speed and really work on that. And at the end of the day, it makes me a much better rider. I think the PC does a good job. The last two that I've done out there, they've done a good job of organizing it. I think I'm always surprised that there's only 50 or 60 riders on the men's side, which, like I said, is very surprising. I'm also surprised as I ride and meet other guys and women riding GSs that a lot of them aren't aware of the trophy or the qualifiers, or if they have heard of it, they're not really 100% sure what it is. I've got my qualifier number on my helmet, so people ask, and I'm a big advocate, so I start talking about it and showing them videos, and at that point they're really sort of blown away. So I think there's a huge opportunity there. I echo the comments of having spectators. I think that would be really cool and give a lot of other people inspiration to get out and do this. And then on the marketing, last time at the qualifier, we were talking at lunch one day about how different the qualifier might look like for the trophy if there hadn't been the long way round where BMW took the leap to support that endeavor rather than KTM. If you watched, you remember there was the two bikes they were looking at, and so I know BMW knows that it's a marketing and a great marketing tool, but I can't imagine them not doing it this year, and certainly can't imagine the U.S. not being part of it. Whatever happens, I would love to be part of bring back the trophy. I think we do need to raise some funds for the team, for the guys and girls that make the team for Team USA, so that they can be as best prepared as they can.
Thank you. I thought you looked familiar, Dean, too, but it's hard. We're all wearing helmets, right?
Right, exactly.
Chuck, I have you next on the screen if you'd like to go.
Yeah, how's everybody doing? Dean, where were you from?
I'm from right outside of Charlotte in Concord.
In Pineville?
Concord.
Okay. Yep. You know JD.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Real well.
That's a connection. We haven't met. Yeah, but I'm down in Fort Mill.
Right. Okay. Good deal.
Yeah. But no, I'm Chuck Maynard. I actually work at the Performance Center. I do the beginner class there. I've been there about 4 years now, which ironically was the same time I bought my first GS, and because Aaron made me go take all the classes, and I realized what a great bike it was. I'm on my third GS now. And I do private training at Carolina Adventure World in South Carolina. I do a lot of ADV classes. I do mostly kids on dirt bikes. It kind of just worked out that way. I was hoping to do ADV training, but it's kind of snowballed in different directions. But I am on the dirt a lot. And that's also why Aaron won't have me do any other training at the PC. I'm strictly MSF. And of course, some of you I met, I've been to 2 trophies, which I always brag to all my friends that I participated at 2 trophies, but I was on the payroll. I wasn't actually competing. But I do love the event. I think it's a great event. Now that people know that I'm involved with it, I know there's a lot of people looking forward to signing up to it this year. So, and I know to Aaron and Ricardo's, they're so busy. Over the last 4 or 5 years, the PC has grown exponentially over and over. And they're doing more offsite events now. So I know they get really tied up in other stuff, and it's hard for them to get this on the calendar, I guess, so to speak. And I know it has stuff to do with Motorrad too. But yes, I'm just looking forward to seeing everybody this year and working my third event.
Awesome. Thanks, Chuck.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, the PC was really cool. It was my first time there. I'd never taken classes, and it was really an impressive site. So I know that they sell out. All the classes get sold out, right? As the season goes on, and it's really popular, and that's a big thing. I think for people just to see what the trophy is and take classes and hear about it, and people talk about it. So it's just another important aspect for sure. Let's see. I'm scrolling. Pedro, you're up.
Hello, thank you for the opportunity to be here. My name is Pedro Casuso, living in Bartonsville, Pennsylvania. I had one participation in GS Trophy, was 20 or 21, I don't remember exactly. 2020 or 2021. Was incredible experience. I thought I was a good rider before that, but after that, a slow rider was very hard for me and discover my limitation. But now I'm feeling skilled with more confident to participate again, next participation. My feedback could be when I bought I'm from Peru, some company, technological company hired me in the 2013 in Miami. In 2017, I bought my first GS, but the dealer never told me about any activity of the BMW Motorrad. I discovered all that work when I moved to Tennessee, to Memphis. That dealer, some Saturday was a donut day with the BMW Rams Club in that dealer. So what is that? It's a club. What is club? I discovered all the work. So I support the idea to try to go to reach out more people through the dealers, sending direct email or through the clubs. So there could be good participants in the future. That's what I can see.
Absolutely. Like I feel like we're kind of the community, the riders, the competitors were like that more bottom rung, and then you have your BMW Motorrad USA, and how do we get kind of more connection, right? Like those dealers and the clubs for sure.
Thank you.
Adam, I know I just saw you with one of your brood. I don't know if you want to talk at all. You're welcome to chime in. I called you out earlier too.
No, I'm just super excited for whatever's going to happen this year. I'm over here in Seattle, up here in the Northwest, and drove like 2.5 days to get over there to the qualifier last year. Super excited to see Billy and Scott over here this year. What's up, dudes? Super stoked to see you, and hoping to beat your scores this next year. Looking forward to it. But no, I'm just honestly, the community's the most important part of all this stuff, and so just to see the camaraderie and the support and as you can tell, just the community that's involved in this sort of thing means the most, and so man, I'm just excited to support in any way I can. And if that means driving 2.5 days from Seattle all the way over to North or South Carolina, then I'm in. But anything to keep this thing alive, man. Let's go.
Right. Happy to have you and good to see you. So thank you.
I'll say a couple words.
Please do.
Hey, I'm Herb Manel. I'm from, excuse me, Arlington, Virginia, DC metro area. Been riding for a very long time. I own 2 GSs, one on the West Coast, one on the East here. Done a few BDRs, 3 of them. Started out in motocross and so forth. So I definitely have the passion of riding off-road. And I'm a retired aerospace guy, but I did take a job after retirement, part-time job at a dealership, a motorcycle dealership, a BMW dealership. And, you know, it was during the COVID years when their budgets, I'm sorry, when they were selling 2 and 3 bikes, you know, or I'm sorry, they were selling their second bike to people that normally only had 1 bike. People were spending their money left and right. And the dealership and several of the other dealerships in the DC area were making money hand over fist. All right. And at that point, which was unsustainable, really. Okay, and now I think their budgets and their sales have tightened up, and because of that, I think they're happy to maybe host a BDR film at $500, but not so happy about spending more than that on GS Trophy type events. So that's something to consider. That's about all I have to share.
Thank you. And then I've got James. I see your hand up.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
My name is James from the Seattle area. Yeah, and super happy to be here. Thanks for putting this together. That's awesome. Been doing bike stuff for like 5 years, adventure specifically. Grew up on dirt bikes, all that. Yeah, and been trying to do some qualifier training. Haven't participated yet, but I'm excited about the next year, getting out there and competing. Yeah, so pretty much the cool thing about this adventure GS stuff is the camaraderie. Absolutely. Everybody's insanely welcoming. Basically, whenever I go out, I'm telling people about BMWs and the GS trophy and trying to spread the word, trying to convince people to get some GSs and, join the qualifier. Yeah. So I don't have much feedback besides let's find out that date so we can get excited and start scheduling some stuff. Yeah. So again, thanks for putting this all together. Can't wait for the future.
Totally. Thank you so much.
Buddy. Let's go.
It's like Seattle. This seems like a connection. All right. Anyone else? If not, we'll move on. I already forgot my all 5 slides, so if you haven't put your number in 1 to 500, we're gonna like spin a little thing, and then I've got these 2 little guys to give away. Yay! If we're gonna do that right now, throw your numbers in the chat. If you haven't already, I've written down some. Even if people have left, I'm still gonna hold their numbers to it. So, Matt, you want to click on that link for me? That's Rich and I at Bears Ears National Monument last year when we rode in the snow. Yay, put 1 to 500 and then we're good. Kirk, I wrote your name somewhere.
Can y'all hear me? Because my audio was acting stupid. I don't use Zoom, I use Teams.
Oh, that's fair. Did you want to say anything, Kirk? You're
Yeah,
welcome.
I mean, now that I got it working, hey, that'd be great.
Yeah.
No, I'll be fast. I shouldn't even be talking because I'm not smart enough to read Central or Eastern time on the invite. Real quick, from Pensacola, Florida. Yes, I'm right up the street from the start of the Southeast BDR. Already rode section 1, but we won't go into that. I'm a long time Harley rider. I've got two with over 100,000 miles on them. And my buddy we were riding in Colorado. We just having a conversation and said, we ought to ride from Key West to Alaska. And we said, well, we don't want to go on our Harleys. Let's buy BMWs. And so it started. And I'm race motorcycles when we was kids, short track, all that stuff. So the experience is there. And so we both purchased them, and here we are. I am interested in either volunteering or maybe competing in the trophy piece. Been to the class in South Carolina, going again in April, the end of April. I've got lucky talking about the dealers sending employees to it. I showed up, signed up for the class. It was full. Showed up, and lo and behold, I was the only one in the class. So I had 2 days of 3 instructors and just me, which was just I couldn't have asked for something better. So this next one, the buddy that's going on the Alaska trip is going to go with me. We're doing the Alaska, the Idaho BDR, the Wyoming BDR, then coming back to Pensacola. So it's nice to be retired somewhat. But I'm really interested in the volunteering possibly or actually competing, And I've watched all the guys on video. I know Matt, I don't know if he's still on. That's his picture right there, but I've commented on some of his stuff before, and just just watching and asking questions and all that. So it's kind of looking forward to it.
Absolutely. It's an experience. I don't know, like apparently you might regret it if you volunteer, but it could also be an inspiring thing to do. All right. Anyone else? Shall we spin? Let's do the spin. Yeah, thank you guys all so much. Basically key takeaways. I'm not even gonna go over everything. This was a phenomenal meeting. I just know there's so many more people out there in the adventure motorcycle riding community that should be exposed to the GS Trophy, the US qualifier, right? We're gonna go get on social media, harass BMW Motorrad, both the mothership, as Kandi says, as well as USA. Looking forward to hopefully getting this message out to the people that matter, and hopefully they hear us and want to hear more from us. So thank you all so much.
Hey,
And
Jess,
yes, go
I
ahead.
just posted in the chat. Is there a way we could get a link of the best accounts to target on social media? Because I follow a gazillion BMWs, and I know
Yes.
that some are South Africa, some are Germany, but like, which are the ones we should target?
The mothership, just like at BMW Motorrad, I
Okay.
believe. And then BMW Motorrad USA would be like our like two main ones.
Okay.
Because the countries are run by those people, right? And we can harass the other countries too if we really want it to be, a bug in their ear. But those are the two main ones. Um, and I could be missing anything else. Both Instagram, Facebook. BMW is actually on Twitter if any of you are on X. Um, they have like 7 followers, so but they do
Hey,
post
Jess.
stuff there too.
Hey, Jess, can I say one more thing?
Yes.
So if you want to come in this to be a really strong competitor and try to strive for the top, of course you got to get out and train. You got to practice. And if you want to follow anyone or follow anybody specific, Adam, my boy on there from Seattle, this guy trains pretty much every day and watches stuff. This guy's the one to watch. But if you
My
want
man.
any tips or tricks or anything to get motivated, just watch his stuff because this guy's going to make it.
Yeah, Adam, you have motivated so many people to do fakies. I'm like, I didn't know any other adult actually knew what a fakie was, but now here we are. Everyone's trying to fakie on the GS. So
That is high
that's
praise.
some West
That's high.
Coast.
That's high praise. That's high praise. That's too much.
But yeah, follow each other. That's this is what should be fun. We don't want it to be secretive, and I think that was something that was very intimidating coming in as a new competitor was it's scary, but I think everyone is so welcoming and we can support each other and tag your dealerships, right? Right, Chris?
Yes. Yeah.
Get involved, find your clubs. Like I just moved to Kentucky and I gotta find the people here, but there's some really great writing out this way. So yeah, just start annoying everyone on social media.
Hey, here's another thought too, as far as like social media, right? Hashtags can be kind of powerful. So I wonder if all of us start doing GS Trophy qualifier stuff, make sure that you're tagging BMW Motorrad USA, and then BMW Motorrad. And then maybe we can come up with some kind of hashtag like where's GS Trophy, right? Like what the hell, BMW?
Yeah.
But like I don't know if something like that would be helpful, or just inundating them with like we want to be a part of the GS Trophy. Like maybe it's just a super simple video like that. But I think if they really start getting inundated with, I mean, how many people are on this call, Jess?
Yeah, we had close to 30 at some point. So
Right. So I think 30, even if only half of us did it, it's 15 people. I just think that it's hard to ignore when it starts showing up at their door.
Yeah. Especially before the meetings next week, right? And I had an idea. I looked up hashtag make life your ride, where we kind of take some control and have some push with this. Maybe that's one. GS Trophy qualifier. USA 2025. Just we can start pushing that stuff out. So thank you all so much. I appreciate your time, and reach out to me, comment anything, and then yeah, give me your addresses for the helmet flare. Thank you all so much. You guys have a good night.
Thank you, Jess. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.